Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Metro Icon Podcast, where we release these episodes every single Wednesday at some point on Wednesday. And man, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get this episode out, y'all, because I have been stacked in my schedule. And I'm not flexing, I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, but I've been traveling a lot, and most of that traveling has been a whole lot of driving. You don't even know, and that's not it. I don't drive a Tesla. I'm just going to let you know. I only drive a hybrid, all right? So I'm not able to do a lot of my sit-down laptop studio type of work when I'm on these 16-hour one-way road trips. But either way, that's not your problem. That's my problem. And I'm making it happen to make sure that these episodes are coming through. I'm doing an amazing conference with high-level marketing, y'all, with the Level Up Summit. It is incredible. And this is Halloween weekend, y'all. So you can catch me at the Library Bar this Friday, where they have a $500 costume contest kicking off at 11 p.m. Starts at 9 p.m. But anyways, I'm going to be running that night, spinning the music, running the parties. $500 cash prize for the costume contest. Whole other like spooky Halloween tricksty cash prize costume. You guys see the shenanigans. Just come and see the shenanigans, all right? This Friday at Library Bar, downtown Fort Worth. I promise you, you don't know the type of parties we throw there. Speaking of which, you'll be catching the episode with GM Chris Bloomy. It's not his real last name, but I like to call him that. And that'll be coming out in the next few weeks as these episodes progress, which, speaking of which, with the productions, now that it is complete, both audio and video, you can rent this set if you want to. That's right. So if you want to hit me up on my socials, email address, ShawnKDoItAll@gmail.com, or follow Metro Icon Competition, where all the podcast episodes are released and announced. And you can hit us up at metroiconlive@gmail.com, all right? And this is a very, very, very fun episode. I am talking to the owner of TK's Comedy Cuisine, TK himself. That's right. So this is I'm just honestly grateful that I even got the time with this guy. This dude is so all over the place. It's a very fresh, new, chic place. You've never been to it. TK's Comedy Cuisine in Addison. You have no idea. They have incredible shows there, but this place is legit like a chic, fancy, upscale, not only bar, not only incredible restaurant, but they also have an underground speakeasy. So this guy's doing it different, and he gave me his time through his incredibly hectic schedule to sit down with me and talk a little bit. So enjoy this episode. Happy Wednesday. Make good things happen for yourself, and enjoy the episode.
You can do it all. You can't.
Do it all, baby. Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Metro Icon Podcast, where we do what? We talk about the world of entertainment and media and the icons that live in it. And I've been bringing in some amazing people within the industry. But, man, the person that I got in here today is a pioneer within the comedy world, y'all. This is a man that was born and bred in Texas, took over all over Hollywood, California, created some love, then brought the business back to Texas, and he's been touring all over the country, the world, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only TK, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, Shawn, for having me on. Yeah, I'm so iconic and well-known that when people say TK, people go, who?
I mean, it's all a matter sometimes. I mean, even for me, it's like there's not enough clout that's ever going to fill our soul, right? We're always just looking for that thing and the next person to meet,
yeah,
and ultimately build towards that next thing, man. So how's everything been going, man? You opened this incredible establishment in Addison, and honestly, I can personally say there's no other venue like TK's, man.
Well, I appreciate that. It's a Jesus thing. It's a God thing. We weren't even supposed to get this location. But the landlord, Mike Aguilar, was just so cool with us. And Sidecar is owned by Boomer Jacks. Boomer Jacks wanted this location. They had more money, but he kept his promise and got us this place. So we wanted to do something different. We didn't want to do a traditional comedy club with the 2-drink minimum, the 2-item minimum, where most of the food is just out of the refrigerator where it's frozen. We want to do a scratch kitchen. That's why we have a full romantic dining side. And the showroom's a little smaller than most. It's 120 rather than like 200 or 250, but that allowed us to keep our big wraparound bar, and then we made the underground a speakeasy because it was just storage. before that.
Oh, I was gonna get into that, but you already brought up the Speakeasy.
Yeah. Looks like Sinatra's living room.
Because I'm from Chicago, so speakeasies are something of a common affair around downtown Chicago, but I know it wasn't something that is commonly known around Dallas. And most people who know about Texas homes or just buildings in general, there are no basements in Texas, all right? I don't know what's going on with the foundation here in Texas, but nobody has basements. And here, they took the lower level section, this basement area, and they created a speakeasy. What was the inspiration to have that part of your vision?
Well, to be honest with you, at first, Mike, the landlord, said, hey, so we have a downstairs, a 972 that was here, never used it. They actually closed up that area where there was the elevator. So I said, what does it hold down there? He goes, well, me, Piaggi used to do private functions, maybe 100. And we went down there, but the beer cooler was right in the middle of everything. And you can't really move that. And they had office space, and we knew that wasn't going to be it. And so I went back upstairs and took a measurement. And I said, let me do the showroom here. And my wife and I love Speakeasy. So I was like, you know what? Let's do a Speakeasy.
Yeah. I love that too. And I just actually proposed to my fiance in a Speakeasy in Chicago, actually.
Oh, so fantastic.
It was our number one place.
Yeah.
And no, we don't have your wife Kara on the show, but y'all's dynamic. I gotta understand, like, how did you guys meet? You guys met in Hollywood, is that correct?
Yeah, dude, we met at a random sports bar, which was odd. Two Christian comics, and when I say Christian comics, I mean, like, I love rated R movies, I love Pulp Fiction. I worked in the the strip clubs for 11 years, so I've lived my life. I'm not like,
sure.
I never cuss. I'm not that Christian.
Yeah.
But I love Jesus. I believe in God, and we met, and we were both in Texas, and we were both comics. And she'd been out here since 2001. I was out in L.A. since 1999, and we had never met, which was odd because she was on a radio show. She was one of the co-hosts of Sam and Kara in the Morning, and I hadn't been on her show. I heard of her show. And she'd heard of Rebels of Comedy and my show at the Hollywood Improv, had never come down to see it. We knew a lot of the same comics, and we just met randomly. And you know what? I was with a buddy of mine. She was a buddy of hers, and I left to go on this date because I was seeing this girl occasionally, and I had valeted, and my car wouldn't start. So they had to jumpstart my car, and I lived right around the corner from the club. So I did what most guys do. I went home, turned it off to see if it would turn back on, because if you know anything about cars a little bit, you're like, well, it's either the battery or the alternator.
Yeah.
It's one of the two. So I called the girl, and I said, yeah, I need a battery and alternater, and I'll probably see you Wednesday. This was on a Sunday night, and I fell asleep, had a dream about my wife, got on Facebook, started reading about her, started everything that she had going on, and then she called me the next day to do my show, and I was like, Kara Kimbrough, I cannot stop thinking about you. And she was like, okay. But then I would call her every day. We started talking for hours at a time, and we just kind of really fell for each other before we even had a first date. So,
I love that, man.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story, man. And it's like you don't anticipate where the heart ends up going, but I'm assume that probably it wasn't something that you expected, but just kind of fell into you.
No, especially the fact that she was a white girl, because I always dated black chicks for the most part. I love their attitude. I love their style, and I got to tell you, my wife has black girl attitude, man. She's confident. She doesn't put up with me when and she'll call out me on my BS. Can I cuss? I don't know.
No. This is a podcast, man. We're not
my bullshit. She'll call me out on that, and vice versa. We're two alphas. We shouldn't work, but we absolutely work fantastic.
I love that.
And we did well in Hollywood. I produced high-end shows. She came and helped me. She got on America's Got Talent. I did an episode or two for Joan Rivers' Fashion Police right before the strike. I was on Comedy Central. I did some Iron Allen shows. So we did a decent living, not famous, but we always were able to make good money. It's just the pandemic is what did it for us to come back home.
Oh, listen, I mean, the pandemic affected, I think, everybody within the entertainment and media world. So I think anybody who can come through the pandemic and actually find some sort of security or some sort of financial blessing through it. I mean, even just in general, for any comedian to be able to, I think, make money in this game, that's one thing that I've grown to love and respect about the world of comedy is because, there is a political side to it, but you're meeting people that are really invested and they're going to put in the work for the most part, they're putting in the work week on weekend and, doing features with no pay. But if you can get to that point where you actually establish a credibility and you're getting paid shows, I mean, that's a big deal, I think, for anybody within the comedy game.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I mean, with the pandemic changed a lot of things in the fact that now you can do stuff so remotely because the headliners I book, they're from L.A., but a lot of them are from Florida and New York because they moved. They were like, I'm not going to live like this anymore.
Yeah.
So, and you can be a YouTube, you can go on TikTok, and you can submit online. You don't have to be in LA to make it. I have some plans for this club with some specials, so it's a slow burn, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't emphasize that enough. The world of Hollywood is not just bred in LA, and it's funny because of how many people from California are now moving to Texas and how many businesses and like even within the media industry, the amount of studios and production houses that are coming down to Texas. It's just Hollywood is going to become, I feel like, an older fad, and they're going to just breed where they can make opportunity happen.
People are moving out of there. They're talking about doing another mask mandate in California. They're crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are going to go that are like-minded where they can live and feel comfortable. And that's why I moved here. And you can still, I believe, do it all. My wife was up for a show on Food Network before COVID called Hot Mess Chef. There was a sizzle done for 10 minutes, and it was reviewed. And they said at the time, we're going over some things. We like it. We're going to talk to you. And they set up a meeting like a month later, and then COVID hit. And then they were like, well, the lockdown's only 2 weeks. So, and then it turned out to be like a year and a half. Yeah. But now with her own kitchen here, her manager's pitching some other stuff. So we'll see, because it's all my wife's recipes. And we have a great chef with Chef Juan that executes her menus.
I love that. And I think one thing that I love about your guys' menu, now when I say that, obviously you guys, we're in the comedy club right now, but if you guys actually saw this restaurant area, I mean, romantic scenes to the fullest. As one of my side hustles, I do Lyft, and I come across couples that, might be going on date night and whatnot. Yeah. This is the place that I recommend all the time.
Like, I really appreciate that.
I mean, but it's not in any sort of favor or anything like that. For me, like, I won't promote a spot that I don't believe in, or I wouldn't take somebody or take my girl out on a date myself. And you're just doing it different, and especially with your menu. Now, I want to talk about that because you said that is Kara's vision in the menu, but where did she get a lot of that cuisine line? You know
what? She's just been like an outstanding home cook her whole life, man, and she always likes to elevate stuff. She's great with flavor profiles. She's great with spices. That's why in our showroom, we don't do a minimum. We don't do a 2-drink minimum. We don't do a 2-item minimum. There's no minimum, because people eat here, they're going to come back. Absolutely. And that's, we do, everything scratch from, we do the hot Nashville chicken sliders, which people fly off to. We got a pizza oven. We do 5-6 different kinds of pizza. But we have like a big tray of nachos. We have like crostini, but we also have like filet mignon. We have New York strip steak board. We have the salmon. We have short rib. We have mac and cheese. We have 2 great burgers. So we always try to make it, we have bolognese. We also have mushroom truffle ravioli that is really, really, really one of the key ingredients that people come in for. So again, that's why we're the only comedy club with a 4.8 rating on Google with our menu items, because people will come in just to eat and maybe not see a show. Maybe come back or go on our patio that's on the pond that holds like 75. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And was it intentional for you guys to put the glass wall encasing for the kitchen? Was that already there, or was that intentional?
It was intentional because it was already there. That's one of the few things that was there that we were like, we're not changing that.
Yeah,
we're going to keep that going.
And I think it's a good feel. I think people feel a comfort when they can kind of see where their food is coming from. Because in a lot of restaurants, you see the 2 ends swinging doors, and then they just gotta come in and come out, but you never see what's actually happening in the kitchen. So I think that's
it's good, because then they can see us come into the back door with the hamburgers we bought from Whataburger that we. No, I'm kidding. Everything's scratch.
Oh, man. Don't bring up Whataburger to me. That's like one of my, I have a couple bits in that are worked off unpopular opinions. So if I really want to rile my crowd up, I talk about how garbage Whataburger is.
I got to tell you, I mean, compared to the other fast food, I mean, Whataburger smells like nothing else. It's fantastic.
Oh, man. But trust me, there's no comparison when it comes to the burgers and the food here at TK's in comparison to whatever Whataburger uses to make their cuisine line. Now, I got to talk about, and I know that you're on the thing, but I have to bring up Kara one more time just because.
Please.
She has her bit on America's Got Talent, which you graciously, showed me to watch. If you guys haven't seen it, how could people search that clip, America's Got Talent?
It's actually the best way to do it, believe it or not, is Google comedian pulls burger out of her bra.
There we go. You hear that? Comedian pulls burger out of her bra. And it is exactly what you would be Googling and what you would see. And it is TK's wife, Kara, who's the other co-operator here. And
Yeah.
she's that's exactly what she does. But it goes to a whole nother level. And I just love that she had this substance ready to go because one of the judges calls her out when she's like, I think about to leave or something.
Yeah, she goes, I want more.
Yeah, and
Jillian, yeah.
And she wanted more. And then she...
Don't give it away. Don't give it away.
I won't give it... You know what? You guys just have to watch the clip and see for yourself because it's amazing. It's comedy at its best. So hats off to your wife. It's definitely apparent why you kept her.
She's amazing. She works so hard and she's so talented and we're blessed, man. Like I said, we're both alphas. We shouldn't work, but we absolutely work.
I love that. And you know who says that two alphas can't work together? I think there's an energy and a cohesiveness. But I think do you think there's a friendly competition when it comes to you and Kara, like on
Well,
stage?
in the sense that, yeah, when I do really well, she wants to do really well. And when she does, I want to blow it up, But we always support each other. And people come up all the time and go, you're funny, but your wife, she's my favorite.
Yeah.
Totally okay with that,
Yeah.
And
that's
vice versa
love.
sometimes.
That's
like her
absolute
brother
love.
goes, Kara, you're really funny, but your husband, that's my brand of humor because I'm more edgy, set up punch. She's more conversational, but she can sing like a maniac. She can do it all, really. It's incredible.
And I love that phrase, you know me. So, and so, you were in the comedy game for how long? How long have you been doing comedy?
Full time, 16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
So what was that beginning jump like? Like, what was the thing that happened that made you like try? I guess maybe even try out comedy to see if it's for you, or did you always know that?
I listened. I thought about it a lot. I was like, my dad always let me listen to Cosby growing up because he never cussed. So that was it. And we didn't know Cosby was going to go down the path he went down, but at the time I listened to him, and then I got into Lenny Bruce, and I just remember watching Eddie Murphy do Delirious, and then I bought the album and listened to it all the time, and I thought, no, I really am going to do this. Like, I talked about it. So there was a place in Dallas called the Comedy Corner on Greenville. I think it was near Lovers. It's no longer there. But I went there it took me, like, I wrote stuff and went down for about 3 or 4 weeks just to watch. And then I finally decided to go up, but I was so nervous, my leg was shaking, I had to sit down. So I did an open mic, and I did well enough that he brought me back on a showcase night. And,
After your first set?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then it was like 5 or 6 people, and then the headliner would pop in. And I remember Lane Boozler, who's iconic. She was there. And I asked her, I said, so, you're such a legend. Any advice you can give me? And she goes, just keep getting up, keep getting up. And I was like, okay. And then I was opening up, I was doing stuff, and then I at one point, I think I'd been doing it about 3 years, but it's just part-time. And I had 3 back-to-back-to-back sets were 3 of the worst sets I ever had.
Oh, wow.
Just so bad that I quit comedy for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I got the urge again and came back. But I was working in a club where I was making a lot of money, so I would probably host or open at the Funny Bone for a week, probably 3 or 4 times a year. Feature spots once in a while. And then I would go to Oklahoma, do weekend gigs here and there, But I got to tell you, the talent pool here in Dallas has become so strong. When I left in '99, it wasn't as strong as it is now. There weren't as many clubs.
I agree.
There was the Funny Bone in Arlington at that point, the Addison Improv, and that was it, really. And then there was Hyenas in Fort Worth. There was like a weekend club. But they wouldn't let you do the open mic except like twice a month. So you could maybe get up with both places, maybe 2 if you're lucky, maybe 3, because you wrote your name down and they did a lottery and all that. So Jan and Linda, who did Backdoor at the time, you could get up there. You had to be clean, but they ran a great room. But there was just not a lot. Mm-hmm. So I left in '99 to go to L.A., and I just had money saved up, so I just every night went out, wrote, and if I didn't go up, I went to watch somebody.
Yeah.
You know, like the top guys at the Laugh Factory, the top guys at the Improv, I'd pay to go in, and I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing, and it took me about, I think, 3 or 4 years where my style changed completely from kind of conversational, dirty, edgy but dirty, to edgy but not really dirty. And I've got a few dirty things, but I mean, for the most part, I want it to be cerebral. I want it to be funny. Yet, if everybody doesn't get my jokes, that's okay. Because I want them to be sharp writing. I try to work on that. And then started producing big shows at the Hollywood Improv and the world-famous Ice House. And then I started working the road, and I started featuring out here at the Improv like 6 times a year, which was great. They paid really good money back then. And then awesome. I went to Alaska for a week, and next year I went for 2 weeks, and my buddy booked, and we made really good money. Then I would start going out, not all over, but I mean, I would go to Arizona, work there, in San Francisco, Sacramento. So basically, I would feature in the clubs like the Improv, but I would headline like Laughs Unlimited, the Green Room, the Comedy Spot, that are great venues, but just not known as well, you know? Mm-hmm. So I was doing that, but I didn't like to travel as much as a lot of guys because I also had my shows I was running. I was making good money there. I was doing 4 or 5 shows a week that I was producing. And if I was gone too long, guys couldn't run my show. What am I going to do? I'm going to cancel my show. They're going to cancel me. So I probably only did the road probably 12 weeks a year, and the rest was just straight staying home because I didn't like one-nighters. If I was going someplace, I wanted to be there for the week. Yeah,
and I feel that, and it's I think the hustler mentality. I mean, we as an entertainer, you want to try and fill up your calendar as much as you can, but you have to understand your limits too, because you know, like for example, I mean, I make a lot of my money doing weddings, and so if for me to be able to produce a show, or if I'm doing something or performing consistently locally, but I have to travel out, to wherever, Chicago, Atlanta, wherever I have to go, you're not really putting a focus into that show that you're producing. Yeah. And so, ultimately you always want to have a good show, but I love it because, I mean, there's a lot that I relate to and adapt to this journey. And it's interesting to say that you had 3 bad shows and that made you want to quit comedy. And then for 4 years before deciding to come back. Yeah. So what was the other hustles that you had going on? I mean, you were producing shows. So were you always just kind of in entertainment and just working the nightlife?
You talking about like in L.A.?
Yeah, L.A., yeah. I mean, I guess.
Out here, I was working nightclubs. I was bouncing and managing adult entertainment strip clubs for a while, for like 11 years. So they let me work the day shift if I had a show at night, like at the Funny Bone, for a week. Yeah. I met Ray Romano. I did a week with him. He was pretty amazing. He actually had not even started his show yet. He was on America's Funniest People. And, hey, how you doing? He's great. I can't do it. I don't do voices. But
it's pretty good, actually.
I got to tell you, pretty good. I said to him, hey, because he was very approachable. Some headliners aren't. And when you're an opener, J.R. Brow was featuring, and I think he's a great talent, too. It's always like you don't really approach the headliner; they approach you. Yeah. So he was very nice to me, and I said, "If you have any advice," he goes, "I'll just watch you." And every night, it was a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday gig. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I get off stage, and here's some notes. Check it out. And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then years later, I hosted an AIDS benefit at the Hollywood Improv, and he was there, and he remembered me. He was very nice, and I got to tell you, he's a class act. He gave me the number for his office, and I called one day, and I said, hey, I'm doing a different benefit because I didn't do the AIDS benefit. I just produced. I didn't produce it. I was just on it. My buddy that I did Comics Unleashed with, Scott, who's passed on. He was he did that. But then, like 2 years later, did a thing for a women's shelter, and I called up the office and I said, "Can Ray come down and do time?" And she goes, "No, he's out of town, but hang on." So she came back. She goes, "Yeah, he can't do that." He said he's sorry, but if you give me your address, he'll send you a bunch of memorabilia.
Oh, that's amazing.
So he had stuff from Mooseport, stuff from his CDs, his book, and T-shirts that he all signed, and then helped us raise like an additional $1,500.
That's beautiful.
Just on the fact that he did that. I mean, some guys were like, he's busy.
Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, and it's actually refreshing to hear something like that because, I mean, you know better than anyone else, I'm sure, that, in this game, people take their calamity or their clout or their numbers, and sometimes it might even be old figures. It might not be anything current.
Yeah.
But people hold on to it, and especially if you tell any seasoned comedian that you're fresh to the comedy scene or you just started, a lot of them don't even pay you any mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a lot of comics that pop in and do my show. Like one night we had Louis C.K., Chris Rock, and Robin Williams in Hollywood all come in and do my show.
Wow.
They pop in, you just got to do that. And some comics are really great. Some aren't. The ones that aren't, I'm not going to mention who they are because sometimes you just have a bad day. But I got to tell you, David Spade, amazing.
Yeah.
He did our show at the Hollywood Improv. I got a call from Clark, who was the general manager at the time, and he said, "Hey, listen, David Spade's manager just called. He wants to do the show tonight. So we just put him up on the marquee." And I was like, cool. He goes, that was 11 in the morning. He calls me at 3 o'clock. He said, "We're sold out."
That's awesome.
And I said, wow. And I said, how much time is he doing? He goes, he's doing like, I think he's doing like 25 minutes. I'm like, okay, because it was Mark and I, the producer at the time. Mark Franco and I produced the show together. Mark's a great comic, one of the best dudes at crowd work I've ever seen. We don't produce together anymore. But we were there, and then we had 6 comics, each doing like 8 minutes each, and then Mark and I would do like 15 minutes each. And David shows up, but before then his manager is there, and his manager's like, yeah, David's going to do 45 to an hour. We're like, 45? We only have an hour and a half show. So that means Mark and I can't go up.
Yeah.
And we got to put up the comics we booked because it's not fair to book a comic.
Right.
They're promoting, and then they don't get to go up.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we'll just cut them down to 6 minutes each, and then David will do 45 an hour. And then he shows up. And I had opened for him here at the Dallas Improv. He was just a feature after he did Police Academy 5. And I was the host one night, and he was so funny. I talked to him just a little bit, and I can't even tell you who was headlining. But that night, David's there, and I go, "David, TK, I opened for you, blah, blah, blah." He goes, "Oh, yeah, okay." And, like, I don't know if he remembered me, but he was so nice. He was so nice.
Dude, you actually got good, you can do some impressions, dude. I got to give it to you.
And I said, "So, David, your manager said you're doing 45 to an hour?" He goes, "What? No, man." He goes, "I'm doing like 15 minutes." He goes, "I'm doing a Sierra Mist commercial, and they just want me to run some jokes, so I got to do that." He goes, "So what's the lineup?" I go, "Well, we got 6 guys doing 6 minutes each, and we thought we'd put you up, and then Mark and I go after you." And he goes, "That sounds good. That sounds good." So they go up. He goes up and does about 20, and just, of course, he crushes it. But what I remember is he said, "Hey, listen, Mark and TK were kind enough to put me on the show tonight, so I'm going to sit down and watch them, and if anybody leaves after I get off stage, I'm going to be highly offended." And I was like, that is fantastic. Because, a lot of people might just get up and leave.
Right.
So he sat down, and I said, "David, give it up for David Spade, please. I know it's always been his dream to open up for me," and everybody started laughing. And then I went up, and Mark closed it. We did about 15 minutes each, and he talked to us after the show for like half an hour. He was just the nicest guy, just absolutely real. And that always sticks with you.
Yeah, you know what? You nailed it, because it's one thing for somebody to present opportunity that might have, breeds the next opportunity or has some sort of, financial gain from it. But when somebody who has a very lucrative career is giving you their time, that's something that
And to be that generous and be that nice. I mean, and I saw him like 6 months later, I saw him in another comedy club, and I go, "Hey, David, TK," and he looked at me, he's like, I go, "Oh, you did my show at the Hollywood Improv, getting ready for the Sarah Miss." He goes, "Oh, that's right. Yeah, dude, what's up?" And I go, "Not much." He goes, you going up tonight? I go, I'm just actually watching, it was an improv place. He goes, yeah, me too. I'm just here to watch tonight. I go, cool. I go, I'll talk to you later. He goes, yeah, sounds good. And, he's just so nice. And those are things that stick with you. Ray Romano, him, there's a lot of great guys. I got to tell you, like Craig Robinson.
Oh, man.
Very good friends. I'm trying to get him here.
So talented.
Has contract. We talk on the phone. He calls me. Absolutely unchanged by success. Brian Callen, absolutely unchanged. Jonathan Kite, who did 2 Broke Girls, absolutely unchanged by success.
I can tell you this right now. If Craig Robinson was here, I would 100% be at that show because I'm a huge Office fan.
Yeah.
I'm a huge
He's going to try to make it happen for me. He's got contracts, and I understand that. But he's just like, if I opened my club in Hollywood, he and Brian Callen and Jonathan Kite all made videos for me to help raise capital. Because I thought I was going to do it in L.A., and then the pandemic hit. But they went out of their way to make great, 2-minute, commercials for me to show just, we're going to play the club. So if I was in L.A., you can play any club.
Yeah.
But out here, there's contracts, and I get that. But they're so generous. They just check in with me every once in a while, see how I'm doing.
That's love.
Yeah,
that's love. And I was talking to Paul Varghese here, actually, last Wednesday.
Yeah.
And, he has one of his videos going viral and on Instagram, and he was like, yeah, I just got a text from Russell. And I'm like, by Russell, do you mean Russell Peters? And he's like, yeah, he just, said congratulations. I'm like, that right there, that effort of, certain entertainers that hit a certain point to do those check-ins,
Yeah, that's very true. And I got to tell you, Paul's a powerhouse, too.
I love Paul.
Yeah, he's such a great writer.
The fact that me and him are from the same tribe in India, for me, it's a very humbling thing.
Yeah, he's sweet, he's kind, he's very funny, I remember Joey Diaz, Uncle Joey, we call him, because he's done so much to help. He just moved from where he was a staple at the Comedy Store up to, I think, Connecticut. It might have been New Jersey. I got to reach out to him. But he did Spider-Man 2. He had a couple lines of Spider-Man 2, and I called him, and I just left a voicemail. I go, dude, I just went to Spider-Man 2. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I just saw you. I just want to say, hey, thanks so much. I go, for doing such a great job, Joey. I'm so proud of you. That's fantastic. And he calls me back. He goes, hey, bro. What's up? He goes, you're the first person I call back. I go, why? He goes, because every other person, not my best friends haven't, but guys that I just know, they call me. I've got 6 voicemails, 7 voicemails like, hey, how did you get that part on Spider-Man 2? Do you think you can get me in? Yeah. That's all they asked me, bro. You're the first guy that said, congratulations, you're amazing, fantastic. I hope this does great for you.
Yeah.
He goes, because that's the kind of guy you are. I go, but Joey, that's the kind of guy you are. All you do is help people at the Comedy Store, man. Yeah. That's all you do. That's why they call him Uncle Joey.
Yeah, and I think that's also a testament to how good nature should be a natural setting in people's climb, because in this game, I think very well about a lot of people in the entertainment world will try and just maintain a relationship out of just the sheer benefit of what they think you can do for them, and not out of just general support.
Yeah, I find that more in LA than at Dallas. Dallas has really been what you see is what you get. When people say they're going to come to the show, they come to the show.
Yeah, that's
New York's the same way, man. We went up there and did shows in New York, and my wife and I were just hanging out. We're going to do a stand-up New York, and this couple was next to us, and I go, oh, you guys do stand-up? Are you around town? I go, yeah, actually, we're here. This was a Wednesday. I go, Friday, we're at stand-up New York. We're doing an 8 o'clock show in this side room. They go, all right, we'll be there. I'm like, do you need? They go, no, we'll be there. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah. I go, because I can. They go, no, we'll be there. And they brought 4 people with them.
Oh, it's low.
Because in New York, if they're not going, they're like, if they may go, they'll go, we might make it. If they go, we're not. They'll just tell you right now, we're not going. We can't do it.
Yeah.
But if they tell you they're coming, they come, man.
Yeah.
And New York's a different beast, and they show up on time too, unlike LA. Where you got to tell people it's an 8 o'clock show if it's 8:30.
Yeah, and and I would say that you're definitely hitting that Dallas is a lot like that too.
Yeah,
because I've met people even just driving Lyft or just being at the store, and they kind of just sense a different type of energy, and they're just like, oh, where are you? What are you doing here? Or, And, if I told them that I had a show coming up or I'm DJing or something and they said that they were going to come, they definitely did. And for me, that's a big deal because people talk shit. And so, a lot of people are like, yeah, we're going to make it. We want to come through. We want to come see you. And then you never hear from them. They don't tell you if that they can't come or plans change. But here in Dallas, there's a lot of, I think, that integrity instilled into a lot of the energy here. So it's awesome to hear it. But New York is a different type of beast, man. I personally could never. I know that's kind of a big hub for comedy, but I feel like I just could never live in New York. I just couldn't do it.
Oh, I could absolutely live in New York. I love. My wife could never do it though. But I wouldn't live in New York now after the pandemic. I just wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic.
I mean, either way, it's just I think that there's some just incredible things that you've been doing. Do you find that comedy is a little bit? Are you just pretty much whenever you are on stage and if you are doing jokes, are you still writing or are you like just kind of rehashing some of your older material?
You know what? I'm writing, but not as much as I want to because I'm working 14-hour days most of the time. That's the thing, you know. And because that's why on stage I probably go up. When I go up, probably 15 minutes at the most, because I want to be outside, shaking hands, talking to people.
Yeah.
If the Speakeasy's open, I want to go down, talk to people, and I just want to make sure that everybody's getting service in the showroom as well. I think it's so important. So I'd love to headline my own club, but I got to tell you, I'm probably 6 months to a year, and I can do. The most I've done is an hour and 15. Some guys like Chappelle can do 4 hours. It's incredible to me. I'm happier with 45, but I haven't done 45, and I'd have to stay home all week and not do anything and just go over my stuff.
Yeah. And I'm finding that journey now because it's funny, like when I go up and I'll have maybe 5-6 jokes ready on the go, but I only end up doing 3 of them because you know, I'm understanding just kind of the crowd that's in front of me, and you know, if something doesn't hit, then I do a redirect. But I got to give you some flowers, though, man, because since day one, and you opened TK's at the start of the new year, correct?
We opened up New Year's Eve,
okay,
and we were sold out. That was great, and then we were open for that Saturday for brunch, and then we had to shut down for about 2 weeks. 4 of those days is because there was that freeze, and my water system's on top. And all I had was cold water, and you can't open a restaurant with just cold water.
Right.
You can't. It's illegal.
Yeah.
So we had to wait for that. Then once it died down, I was able to insulate it. My plumber came in and made sure we had hot water. Then I had to do some changes to make part of this more ADA compliant.
Yeah.
Which I understand. You know? Because the rules have changed, I guess, from when 972 had it like 7 years ago or 5 years ago to now. So we had to do that. And then we opened up right at the end of the 3rd week of January, and we've been open ever since.
Yeah, and so I came, I think right in that first week that you reopened in January. And one thing that I can consistently say is that you are always constantly doing rounds to every single person that comes into the establishment. And I think that it's easy for everyone to see how much you love this place and how much respect you have for it, but the amount of respect that you have for each person that comes and gives you their patronage, like you don't see that a lot from a lot of owners. It's kind of an old school mentality. What was your like family upbringing like? You know, because you were born here in Texas. And
no, I was born in Nevada, but here's the thing. My dad was a jazz musician, so my dad played with the Bob Scobie Band. My dad and my mom met in Vegas. She was a showgirl. My dad played jazz there. He played at the club with Louis Bellson, one of his best friends, who ended up marrying Pearl Bailey. So he was always in contact with them, and then started working for Bob Scobie. And we traveled all over. Like we lived in Alaska for a year and a half. Then we moved to Mexico for a year and a half.
Where in Alaska?
Anchorage, Alaska.
I mean,
and I was like,
what is
3?
That like?
I lived there from age like 1.5 to 3. Then we moved to Mexico City, and I lived there for 2 years.
So wait, you lived in Anchorage, Alaska for a year and a half, and then to Mexico City.
Yep. That's where the band went. So that's where my father went. You know, he was like, that's what he was doing.
I mean that dynamic. I mean, I think that kind of is right there the testament of why you're able to just kind of roll the punches and why you're always on that new thing and new grind. To move from Anchorage to Mexico City, that is a crazy, like, just environmental dynamic to shift to.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And then he moved here because we moved here in '68. My brother was just born. I was 5, and we moved to Garland, and my dad started he created the jazz program at North Texas State University, which is now UNT.
Oh, that's amazing.
Helped create the 1 O'Clock Lab Band and do all that, and he was an icon. He made an album with Louis Armstrong. He played with Ellington and Basie. I mean, he could have been more famous, but he loved teaching.
Yeah.
That's what he told me.
That's love.
I go, he made all of his money in the summer months. He made like $30,000 a year to teach, and then he made like $90,000 in the summer because he was making like $1,000 a day plus expenses.
That's awesome.
For all these, to go out to these camps.
Yeah. And so you said you had a brother. How many siblings do you have?
I have 4 brothers. Now, 2 are from my dad's first marriage. My brother and I are from second marriage, but I'm 3 months older than one of the brothers from first marriage. So that tells you what was going on. You know.
Are you close with all of them?
I am close with all of them, yes.
Okay. Do they have the comedic gene within them, or?
My one brother actually plays jazz. He teaches jazz in Vegas, and he has a trio that he plays every weekend with. And then my other brother lives in Florida. He is a math teacher. And then my other brother, Mark, lives, I think, in Illinois now. I haven't talked to him a little bit, but he's retired. He's on a ranch.
So I always like to ask this question for comedians because for any average Indian entertainer, especially if it's in the comedy realm, it's not something that comes with a lot of excitement or pride when you have to tell your parents that you're going to try your hand at comedy or go into entertainment full time. So what was that like? Was your dad super supportive of your endeavors and dreams?
Yeah, I got to tell you, my dad was one of these guys that he said, I don't care if you clean streets for a living, be the best street cleaner you can be.
Okay.
Be the best street cleaner. Be the best at what you do. And always, even if you're working a job that you don't like, work hard and dress the job you want to have. Show up on time, do your thing. Work hard, you know?
Yeah.
That's what my dad always taught me.
Yeah, respect, and I appreciate that. Now, and I know that you're a very extremely busy man, and I'm so appreciative that you gave me your time today to tell a little bit about your story. Before I let you out, I gotta ask: what's one of the big things that you look for in an entertainer, or like maybe some advice that you would give to somebody that's maybe stepping into comedy or the world of entertainment?
Yeah, I would tell them, don't let the world beat you down, you know. I tell young comics, if somebody comes up to you and says, you're not funny, you shouldn't do this, walk away.
Yeah.
You don't have to get in an argument with them. I've had guys that were like famous people. One guy said, you're really funny. And I was like, thanks. The next day he goes, you know what? Yeah, you're not that funny. I go, you told me yesterday I was funny. He goes, well, I was drunk. I go, well, good for you. But I don't have time for that. You know, if somebody comes over and says, hey, listen, you got a funny joke, but I think try to use this, it'll make it funnier, then do that.
Yeah.
You know? But just if you love it, keep doing it. Don't stop. And I've seen comics that I didn't think were funny at all, not one drop. And I saw them, you know, like worked with them out here in Texas for like 2 or 3 years. I'm like, this guy will never get it. Came back. He did a showcase when I was opening for Bill Bellamy, and they put him up. I'm like, oh, this guy is going to eat it. And so funny. He got it. One day he just got it.
Yeah, that click point.
And then, you know, once you get it, you're always going to have it.
Yeah.
You know?
I just had that click point literally not too long ago. It was, I think, last Thursday. It was after my interview with Paul, and I did 2 open mics. First I got 10 minutes. The next one I got 5. But I catered my jokes to literally what was in the room, and I had like backroom laughs, and I think that was one that I really felt, because when I was the last person.
That's the comics.
Yeah, that was the last person to go up on both shows. And so for my first show especially, I only had like 4 or 5 people in the front, but there were some people by the bar in the back. Mm-hmm. And when I got those laughs, that's where I kind of felt, I'm like, okay, I get it, and I understand it. So there's still a whole lot of discovery in it, and as Paul said, it's gonna keep happening. He's like, even to this day, I still have a new click point that things kind of snap in place. Yeah. And I one thing I do have to show love and respect to is that this is one of the first places that I discovered that the amount of Indian comics and comedians that Dallas and DFW has. And you have 2 talented Indian comedians that are running your open mics.
Yeah, they are.
Where did your love for our brown people come from, TK?
You know, if you're people, I don't know if. All right, I'm just going to say this. I find, and it's not true with every white comic at all, but I find urban comics, black or Hispanic or Asian or Indian, tend to try to produce their own stuff, try to work a little bit harder than some white comics. They just want to go up. They got a great day job. They just want to go up. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But I produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 independent shows here, and they're all people of color.
Yeah.
Because they're like, listen, we can pack this place out for you. They'll do a later show. If I'm not doing it, I get the drinks and the food. They get the door. I want them to feel like, that, it's someplace that they can call home. That's what's important to me, is that everybody gets to go up. Because I have no political agenda. I'm a comic, so for me, it's just, are you funny?
Yeah.
And I tell new comics, listen, write about what you're passionate about, stuff you love or stuff you hate, to get you going at first, juice up, and then it's going to take you, usually it takes 3 to 5 years for anybody to lock into who they are.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen earlier. It happened a little bit later, because I never really locked into who I was in Texas. For the most part, for the 5 years I was out here doing stand-up in and out, It took me another 3 years in L.A. going up all the time to kind of lock into who I was and where I wanted to go with my career and what kind of comic I wanted to be. But I just tell comics, man, just keep writing, and listen to yourself more than other people as far as your inner self. As far as somebody says you can't do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Some people teach class and they go, you should always do this, you should always do that. I don't believe that. I believe there's stuff you could do that I could never do and vice versa.
Yeah.
So you have to be true to yourself. And that's the great thing about stand-up, is you can watch somebody go up who is nothing like you, and it still can inspire you and make you think about your own act in a certain way. I've had guys go up and they'll say just a word, and I go, oh my God, I just thought of something I could do on this that has nothing to do with what they're doing, and then boom.
I got to give it to you for that one. Just giving you the applause.
Thank you, brother.
TK, I mean, you're an incredible human being, man, and I always enjoy, at the open mics and stuff. I know that you try to listen to as many comics because you want to put people on.
Yeah.
But it's a refreshing thing, because I'm usually always sitting in the front, and I know you're in and out because you have to handle the restaurant or things come up. But every once in a while, when TK's in the back of the room and he's listening, because then all of a sudden you just hear like right in the back room. So this guy actually shows love and comes through for a lot of comedians, and he's here for the people. And if you guys are around the Addison area, I mean, there's so much happening. But when I tell you that TK's Comedy Cuisine, this place is you're not going to find another comedy place or restaurant that has this type of feel. I mean, this is chic, it's new, it's revolutionary, and it's progressive, and it's welcoming to, new talents and people that really want to showcase their stuff. And he's always presenting opportunities, and he's looking out for them. So, TK, man, I appreciate your time so much for
Thank you, man. You do a good podcast. This is great, and you're funny on stage. I'm glad we become friends, and I appreciate the opportunity. If anybody is in Addison, we're at 14854 Montfort Drive, Beltline, and we're open every day but Monday.
Yeah. And that's
3 to close during the week and open for brunch on weekends. And we'd love to just show you. We have great customer service. I think it's so important to do that.
Yes, absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for listening in. And of course, you want to make sure you guys show some love to TK's when you guys come out here. I promise you, this is an experiential place that you would not feel anywhere else around DFW, and that's just on the restaurant side. And then if you decide to, want to elevate yourself with some more entertainment, come check out a show here. He has some incredible talents. You might not have never heard of them, but you'll always remember them when you leave.
Yeah, that's true.
TK, thank you again for coming up on this show. And then one last thing, just one phrase, word that you want to leave off the show to out to the world.
It's always great to laugh.
Damn right.
You can do it all. You can. Do it all, baby.